Hey guys, how did you get on with the strumming patterns? Okay, the first thing we're going to be looking at is the palm mute. This is the next little technique that is what separates out the amateurs from the more pro sounding strumming patterns. When you see a guitarist who's played for a little while, you'll notice that he mutes the strings. You might not see it, but you'll hear that his strumming patterns sound a bit cooler than someone who doesn't. I'll give you an example. Someone who doesn't. Someone who does. Now, all I've introduced is a palm mute. Now I'm going to show you guys how to do a palm mute on your guitar. It's all to do with the right hand resting along the strings. But it's not just about muting the strings. It's about muting them in the right place. And the biggest technique that I can teach you is what I call the mute up stroke, which is a really, really popular one. Basically, when there's a downbeat where you would normally do a down stroke, you mute the strings and you do an upstroke shortly after it. So if we line up on that C major chord, which we've been using for demonstrating, you're going to do a down, then a mute up, then a down, and then a mute up. Let me just show you the mute first before we do it. You just hit the strings as if you're doing a downstroke, but hit it with the side of the hand, not with the plectrum, with the side of the hand, like that. And you want to make sure that your pick falls ready to do the full upstroke. So it falls just below the strings to do the upstroke. Not like this, where your hand's right up here and you have to come down to go up, but bang, so it's just over the sound hole, ready to do an upstroke. Okay. Down, mute up, down, mute up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now if that was too fast, slow down the strumming pattern as slow as you need to go to get it accurate. It's all about learning this technique. Getting it smooth, focusing on where your hand falls. Many of you will fall with the hand being too high up. You want to make sure that it falls below the strings. Then you're ready for that upstroke there. That's the most important part of that. Now, you can combine muting, or this mute upstroke that I've just taught you, into your strumming patterns. So let's say we take a basic strumming pattern. We go down, down, up, down, okay? Which is a quarter note, 2 lots of 2/8 notes, and a quarter note on the end. But we're going to mute the first 8th note each time, so it's going to be a bit more percussive. It's a really cool strumming pattern because it accents the upbeats and you're muting on the downbeat, so it kind of catches people off guard, and it sounds really cool as you speed it up as well. So try and get that strumming pattern as smooth as possible and really nail those strings with the right hand to make sure you're muting it. Don't half-ass it, really go for the mute, cut off those strings before doing an upstroke, and you'll be well away with that mute up. It's one of the biggest tips I can give people, because it's what a lot of people miss out on when they're learning strumming patterns. They don't realise that it's the mute, it's the silence that makes strumming patterns sound so cool. Okay, we're going to look at another note grouping now. We've looked at quarters, we've looked at eighths, we've looked at sixteenths, and we've looked at combinations of them and how we can put them together and how to strum them. The next note grouping is a triplet, and I'm going to show you how to strum those. Okay, so what is a triplet? Let me just let you know what that is. It's a unique type of note grouping. We've looked at how we can split the beat into 2s, into 4s, into singles. This splits the beat into 3s. And there are 2 ways you can strum it, depending on the tempo. The first way is usually in like sort of waltzes or slow dances, lots of 60s ballads and things like that. It's a down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. If I just play you a triplet first. Down, 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 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can see that I'm strumming 3 times in between each beat, so it's a different type of note grouping to what we've been used to so far. If you are strumming a group of these, it will sound something like this. You can already hear the ballads coming in there. Down, up, down, down, up, down. That's how you strum a triplet. And you'll see how it's notated. It's like a group of quarters or a group of eights with a little line and a three, just saying that you play all of them within one beat. Down, up, down. However, if you have a group of triplets, or if the triplets are extremely fast, as in, you know, the tempo is quite fast, you've got to play them really quickly, then the strumming pattern is slightly different. And again, we break the rules slightly. For the first time, you're going to do an upstroke where a downbeat should be. And it is only for triplets that this should happen. Let's say we've got a strumming pattern that sounds like this. Now what I'm doing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 1, 2, 3 is the triplet. Normally you would start on a down, but because we've got two next to each other, you accent the upstroke. And it's important to accent it, and that's the main thing that you guys need to be able to get, is accenting not only the down, but the up. Remember to have that metronome on in the background. So you can hear how I'm accenting the downbeats still, which is very important. Like, that's one of the main reasons why you do a downstroke on a downbeat, so that you naturally accent it. But now you're going to have to unnaturally accent it, because on an upstroke, that's basically the triplet pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But if you get a lot of triplets together, and they're a little bit faster than a slow ballad, for the first time, the upstroke is going to be on the downbeat. So there's another rule breaker for you on the triplets. There are two other strumming patterns, or two other styles that I'm going to talk to you about. The first one is the shuffle rhythm, and we're going to look at the shuffle rhythm and how to strum it and how to play the shuffle rhythm. Alright, now the shuffle rhythm was a really good idea. I don't know who came up with it originally, but it's a very, very cool rhythm, and you would have heard it many times. Let me just demonstrate a shuffle rhythm. Okay, all of that was a shuffle rhythm. It's got a real driving groove about it, and it's a really cool rhythm to start putting into your strumming patterns. Give you a little bit of bounce, a little bit of drive in the strumming patterns. It's made up of a triplet, which is why I taught you the triplet first. But the middle one, the one that you would normally count 2, is disappeared. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, you're going 1, nothing, 3. Triplet will sound like this. I'll play the C chord that we've been doing so far. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to miss out the middle one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can see how the triplet, you just miss out the 2, but more importantly, the shuffle rhythm isn't about counting, it is about feel. So you don't want to get too caught up in the counting of the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because it will force you to play a bit mechanically. Just try and get that feel of that shuffling rhythm. Just be aware of the fact that there is a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Obviously your brain can only count so fast, so you don't want to count all the time. Remember that the counting is just there to give you that theoretical knowledge so that you know when to do down and up strokes. And you can see that the 1 is a down and the 3 is an up. There's your shuffle rhythm. As you have seen, really popular. Really popular in blues, rock and roll. It's used quite a lot all over the place, really. Jazz as well, pop music, they use the shuffle rhythm. It's a great little way of spicing up the strumming patterns. So rather than maybe just, you know, in your strumming pattern having a quarter note, 2/8, 2/8, and 2/8, you could make those 8s shuffle rhythms instead. Now you'll notice that I'm doing the shuffle rhythm with a palm mute. So the 1 of the 1, 2, 3, the palm mute upstroke is what I'm using because it really helps accent that sort of triplet feel. I'm sort of strumming it hard enough that you can hear it and then doing the upstroke quite loudly afterwards. It's a cool little technique to really accent that shuffling rhythm. The final thing we're going to look at in this lesson on strumming patterns, and it's the final thing you're going to look at overall, is the funk style of strumming patterns basically. You've seen how we can use shuffle rhythms, you've seen how you can use triplets, and hopefully you'll apply them to some of your strumming patterns. And do post a video response if you've got some cool strumming pattern idea. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. We're going to look at funk rhythms.